All right, welcome back to All Things 80s and welcome to live stream number 4. Today we've got a very special guest. We have Jack from Jango Unbrained. How you doing, Jack?
Very good. Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so I've got to say this stream is making me feel quite old actually. So I believe there's a 25-year age gap between myself and Jack. And yet here we are both on to talk about our love of vintage Star Wars, but Star Wars and toys in general. So, Jack, first up, I want to ask you, how did someone who, by the time you were born, I believe the vintage Kenner line had ceased production for about 15 years prior to you being born. So what was it that got you into collecting vintage Star Wars?
See, I was born in 1999, so same year, Phantom Menace.
Right.
So like you say, the Kenner line ended, was it 85 or 86?
Yeah.
Something like that. So I grew up playing with like the Power of the Force 2 figures, Phantom Menace figures, all those sort of ones. But my dad obviously brought me up on the original trilogy with his original videos, which was great. And then obviously he told me how he used to have all the toys as a kid. Unfortunately, he got rid of them all. The only thing that he kept was a bowcaster, which I have on my Chewbacca. So that's quite a special piece. But then when I got older, I got more interested when I seen them like in the vintage shops at car boots, that sort of thing. Just started picking them up. And then as birthdays and Christmases arrived, I used to ask for vintage Star Wars. So it's been going on for probably around 10 years.
Awesome. So I need to ask you, so for me personally, because I grew up at the time when it was all happening in real time, absolutely for sure, I was more interested in the toys than I was the movies. Now, what about you? Because you were born at a time when everything had taken place. So you were born, we already had toys, we had movies. Which one do you gravitate towards more? Is it the toys or the movies?
That's a tough question. I would say the toys. The issue nowadays is a lot of kids play with like their iPads, their tablets, that sort of thing. I'm quite privileged that I grew up when kids were still playing with toys and we didn't have that sort of thing.
Right.
I always used to get Star Wars Lego as well. I used to love that. So yeah, no, toys definitely, but I love the films as well, and I watch the originals quite often.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the movies. Obviously, my heart lies with the original trilogy. I do like the prequel trilogy, and we all have our opinions on the sequel trilogy. However, I still have not seen the Clone Wars cartoon, the Rebels cartoon, and I've not had any great desire to read any of the books, simply because for me, when I think of Star Wars, I think of the toys.
Yeah.
There are people who are the complete opposite, who have no interest in the toys, but they love everything about the Star Wars story, the continuing stories. So do you follow some of the newer offshoots of Star Wars?
I do. So I don't really read the books. I'm not a big reader, but I usually watch just short breakdown videos on stories. I've watched all the Clone Wars. I've watched that a couple of times. I do really enjoy that. Obviously, that came out in probably 2008, so I would have been 9 at the time. So it was sort of captured me in at the time. Rebels, because I did a review on that the other day. I only recently watched it. I really struggled with that. I didn't enjoy it as much as the Clone Wars, but it was good.
Right.
And obviously, the prequels were coming out as I was young. So obviously, as I was born, Phantom Menace came out. So I grew up with them. Because I know there wasn't much love for the prequels when they came out. But me as a kid, obviously, I used to love them. So I have a bit of a soft spot for them now. But I still prefer the original trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, certainly, I remember when the prequels did come out, on my first viewing of The Phantom Menace, I was just completely in awe of the special effects, the lightsaber battles, and I actually went back to watch it another couple of times in the theater just to see that final duel with Darth Maul and the two Jedi. I think that's one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen on a big screen. Attack of the Clones, I just didn't, it was good, but I didn't like it as much.
Yeah.
And obviously, Revenge of the Sith was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And that kept me quite happy. And then when we got word, I guess we're talking, 6-7 years ago now, of the sequel trilogy, And the fact that they had, Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher on board, I was thinking this is going to be the most amazing thing ever. And it ended up being a massive letdown. However, I was still able to sort of content myself with the fact that I still have my original trilogy. I have my memories of that time in my life.
Yeah.
I have the toys from that period. So I wasn't one of these people that were making videos nonstop bitching about Lucasfilm and Disney, which I think it's people have made their point. They don't like the sequels. Fine, get over it, sort of thing. So, what's your take on the sequel trilogy?
So obviously, when it was announced, I was really hyped. Obviously, there was the whole Force Friday thing. I bought loads of the figures from the Force Awakens. Bit of a regret now,
Yeah.
but I think they're decent films. They're by no means my favourite, so I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah.
When I watched Force Awakens, I thought, okay, this could go somewhere quite interesting, but I was really disappointed with The Last Jedi. And then The Rise of Skywalker sort of had to fix what had been sort of broken.
Yeah. Now, so you've mentioned to me as well that you also, as well as the vintage figures that we can see behind you there, you also do collect Black Series. Now, do you have a certain area that you like to collect, or do you just go for whatever Hasbro throws out?
So basically, I don't pick up every Black Series figure. So like I was saying about this one, for example, I just pick up the ones that I like. So, for example, with the Mandalorian, because I really enjoyed that, to complete the sort of more mural image, I bought all of those, and I'll continue to do so. And yeah, just buy individual characters I like, really. And then I also do get the vintage collection as well, because I love that the packaging is the same as the original one.
Yeah, I did actually purchase one. I've had one or two vintage collection figures in my possession for the simple fact that I wanted to see what they were all about, to make videos about them. And whilst for me, nothing will ever compare to the original Kenner figures, I felt they were slightly over-engineered, and a figure of that scale does not need so many points of articulation. And it just didn't feel like a good, sturdy figure in my hand. Do you ever opened vintage collection?
I don't open them very often, only if the card's damaged. I tend to keep them all carded. I've got this one. I keep them all carded because it's just artwork. But you're right. With all that articulation, it just creates more breakage points. I do think 5 POA is basic in today's standards, but a decent amount of articulation is fine. I don't take them off the card anyway, so as long as they display nice. Yeah.
And in fact, one of the ones I had was the TIE Fighter pilot, but I got that because Amazon were selling off that huge TIE Fighter with the figure.
Yeah.
But the figure was deformed. The legs were bowed. It couldn't stand up. And apparently it's quite a common thing with that figure. Fortunately, I did my video and returned it all back to Amazon for a full refund.
Yeah.
But I have heard a lot of people complaining about some of the modern stuff whereby the paint isn't particularly good and some of the joints on certain figures don't work at all well. Have you had any issues with your figures?
I've not had issues with mine, but I've seen videos online of some of the problems. And I know Hasbro have not been great at quality control. I know stuff gets through. I've seen stormtroopers with misprints like on the card and stuff. I'm not sure. Have you heard of Tungori before? It's like they sell loose figures, but it's like they're probably factory rejects from Hasbro. So they're cheaper. So you can buy the figures out the card. I bought some of those, so they have misprints, whatever. But figures of that quality still end up on a card somehow.
Yeah, because certainly when, as we were talking earlier, that I have been selling a lot of Black Series, and some of the figures that I received in those batches, the faces, this was prior to I guess they call it, is it photoreal?
Photoreal technology,
Yeah, this was prior to that, and some of the faces just looked awful. In particular, I think it was a Bespin Luke Skywalker. His eyes were drooping, and it just looked ridiculous.
Yeah, and it was the same with the vintage collection. They never used to do the photo reel. Right. But I think some of the vintage collection faces do look better than the Black Series.
Right. Certainly, when holding some of these Black Series figures, because I think I've had 2 of those that I've done videos on. I do very much like them, but for me, because I grew up in the age of 3 3/4 inch, I cannot see past that figure scale. So whilst those Black Series figures do look very, very impressive, there's just something about that 3 3/4 inch scale that, to me, that is the size an action figure should be. Also, as well, bearing in mind that in order to produce vehicles or play sets to the 6 inch scale, it's almost impossible to do that within reason. Do you have any 6 inch scale vehicles or play sets?
No, I've never taken a Black Series figure out of the bar.
Okay.
But like you say, with the 3 3/4 inch scale, it's that world building of, so like you got behind me, you got the Slave one.
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
Right.
You just have your little Boba Fett in there. Can you imagine if they did that for the Black Series? It'd take up about a quarter of your room. So
yeah, because I've seen, I think they did a snow speeder quite recently.
Yeah,
and that thing just looks enormous.
It is, but I think it is to scale.
Yeah,
I don't have that one, but it does look really good.
Yeah. So, in terms of your vintage Star Wars collection, where do you stand in terms of completing the 96 figures?
I have 6 left to
Wow.
get now. Those mainly being either from the last 17 or from the first 12. I need the Luke Farm Boy. But I've got original weapons with most of them. There's just one layer that's missing the tiny little pistol. It's been a very long journey. But recently, just been trying to complete that 96. That's my objective this year, is to get that done.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's well known that I'm a very bad boy, and I have no issue with Repro, and I've been making great use of Stan Solo to acquire the figures that I'm missing. So, based on the pre-orders I have with him, and he will be producing a Barada, which means I'm currently requiring 2 of the Ewoks, and for the prices they're asking for it today, I'm not prepared to pay that for little Ewoks.
No.
Which is why my focus kind of moved more towards Transformers lately. But I do intend to finish getting all those figures. And have you encountered the sort of phenomena that most of us have, whereby since the whole COVID thing, the prices of vintage Star Wars figures has just gone through the roof?
Yeah, I completely agree. I remember when like a complete figure was around £8 5 years ago, and some of those figures are £30 upwards. eBay in particular, the prices have skyrocketed. So I try and use the Facebook groups to pick figures up now. Yeah,
because I remember, because I think it's Warrock and Romba that I'm missing.
Warrock's expensive.
Yeah, but I remember seeing them 2 years ago, and whilst they were expensive, they weren't as expensive, and I thought, I'll leave it for now. In hindsight, I should have just snapped them up when I could, because the prices now, I'm seeing like way over $150 to $200 for these figures.
I know, they were like an £80 figure here to £200 now for an Ewok. It's quite a lot of money, and the R2 as well. I remember the days where they were below £100 for a pop-up.
Yeah,
they're around £300 now.
Yeah,
I don't have that one.
Same with Barada. It was always one of the least desirable figures to begin with, and I remember maybe a year or so back seeing one that was sealed in a bag.
Yeah,
and it was about $110, and I thought, I'll leave that one as well. Of course, that figure again has doubled in price.
It has, because that used to be probably, let's say, a £60 figure, and like you say, over 100 now. So
yeah, I mean, hopefully things will level off and get back to normal again. But I'm assuming it's because people have spent so much time at home. They've been on YouTube. They've probably seen channels like ours talking about these figures and thought, oh, I used to collect that stuff. They start buying it. So, of course, as demand increases, so does the price.
I completely agree. And over this last year, I would say this is the most Star Wars I've ever bought. Yeah. Because obviously with being at home all the time, it's been a focus of just a hobby just to keep me occupied. Yeah. So the same for everyone.
Yeah. And I mean, that's probably why people like Chris Smith of Stan Solo have decided to do what they do, because they realize that whilst there is the moral argument for and against Repro, there's also the bottom line that there are people who want to have a complete collection, but are in no position to spend $200 on a crappy Barada figure just to complete that collection. At the end of the day, we'd all love to have an original vintage Star Wars collection. Yeah. However, there's no way I can justify spending hundreds of dollars on a figure when I can get something for a fraction of that price, which is brand new, minty fresh, and will look just as good on display.
Yeah.
Where I do come down on repro is the people who purposely deceive others by putting it off as vintage. That is a big, big no-no, and I fully understand why people are against that, because I'm also against it.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me before. Well, where I bought something at a toy fair as original and got home, checked it, and it's not. Yeah,
I've found one or two pieces that I bought 2 years ago that have very questionable accessories, and that does bother me because the price I paid was based on it being original.
Yeah.
Had they said, by the way, the figure's genuine, the lightsabers are repro, here's the price, I'd probably said, okay, fair enough, I'll take it. But it's when they lie to you and don't tell you, that's the big problem.
They can always be vague as well. They go, or it might be original. Because it's on a layer, and the reason I don't have the gun for it is because it came with a little repro blaster. I've kept it in the bag, but I want to try and get an original. But the blaster's like 70 quid just for the gun. It's like, I'm in no rush for that.
Yeah. And I think also as well, that's partly why I've by no means abandoned my Star Wars vintage collection. It's just that I've been put off with the high prices of late. So I've been veering more towards going back to Transformers.
Yes.
But Star Wars will always be my first love. And I guess once I do get the missing figures and have the full 96, I will look into getting some of the vehicles that, one, that I had as a child, and two, always wanted. There's no way I could ever have a set of every vehicle and playset ever made. So aside from, I think you have a Millennium Falcon, is that right?
I do. I have quite a few of the vehicles.
Yeah.
But I'm in the place now where I own every vehicle that I'm happy with.
Right.
Because one I really wanted was the TIE Interceptor. And that sells for over £300. Like that. But I managed to get one for 150 with the box. I got a really good deal on Facebook. Wow. So I'm happy with that. And obviously the Slave one, but I've had that for probably 6 years as a birthday present. So I'm in a place where I'm happy with the vehicles.
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, the thing about collecting is it's nice to dream about buying everything that was ever made. But aside from the financial cost, there's also the issue of space.
You got it.
For me, especially living in a New York studio apartment, you may have heard the phrase, there's not enough room to swing a cat in this place. Well, that's absolutely almost the case here. And as a result, most of my collection is currently in plastic storage boxes. But I did yesterday start to rearrange a couple of bookcases I have. I've had Star Trek figures on display for probably close to a decade, just never moved them. And I had my sort of Transformers all bunched up together. So I'm working on making a nicer sort of area to display things.
Yeah.
But I have to be very mindful of the fact that I have very, very limited space. And so I have the intention, so my wife and I are definitely going to be moving as soon as things calm down with this damned pandemic. And I only have two requirements, and that is, one is a room for collection and YouTube and a garden. That's the only thing I need in life. So once I do get a house with a separate room that I can display things and just enjoy it more, because as much as I like owning all these pieces, the fact that they're stuck away in these storage bins kind of defeats the purpose, because these are items that bring me a lot of pleasure. And if I'm not able to see them or touch them, it's defeating the purpose of that. Now, obviously, as a 21-year-old, well, first of all, as a 46-year-old, I still play with my toys. Not the way I used to as a kid, but I still transform Transformers and put blasters in the hands of Star Wars figures, do you still take your figures out and sort of play with them?
Yeah, the Transformers, I did, as soon as I got them, I wanted to transform them. I didn't want to leave them in the box. Same with, if I open a Star Wars figure, I enjoy sort of putting them in a pose, whatever, putting them in the cabinet in a cool position. I like rearranging it all as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, certainly there are times I find myself in an evening, I'll be watching YouTube, for example, but I just have this desire to start transforming a Transformer. So I go and I grab one, change it, put it back again, put it up on the shelf, and it just brings happiness for some reason.
It does. I'm in like opening one of the cabinets nearly every day, whether a new item's coming in or where I'm taking something out to have a look at. It's just enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, same with now, obviously, because you weren't there when it happened first time round, but are you aware that certain Star Wars figures have better smells than other figures?
I watched your video and I did smell my TIE Pilot, both of them. And they didn't, I couldn't smell it.
Oh, man. Honestly, that is one of the most fantastic smells I've ever encountered. And I have such great memories of that smell that I was lucky enough to get a new TIE Fighter pilot a couple years back, and it still had the smell. And the minute that hits your nostrils, it took me right back to like 1983, I think it was. And I remember it was the end of term before the summer holidays when you could bring in toys into the class. And I brought in some Star Wars figures. Another boy brought in some of his Star Wars figures, and they got mixed up. And the teacher was trying to help us determine whose figures belonged or which figure belonged to which boy. And I said, it's easy. So I began sniffing them, and I sniffed the TIE Fighter pilots, and I knew immediately that mine had this amazing smell. His had the smell, but it wasn't quite as strong as mine. But the sad thing is, I've checked it on all new figures, Black Series and Vintage Collection. They don't have that smell. So I'm guessing it was probably something to do with the plastics that were used back in the day. Yeah. And nowadays, with all the health and safety regulations, they probably can't use certain chemicals.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was just something truly magical about the smell of a new Star Wars figure, which sadly people today will never really understand, because like I said, the new stuff doesn't have that smell, unfortunately.
No, it's like if you open a brand new Blu-ray or something, you get that smell of a new case, but it's probably not the same.
Well, no, I mean, it's just, it's a certain smell that you don't pick up every day, but it's a smell that sticks with you. And when you do smell it again, the memories just come flooding back. It's a wonderful thing.
Cool.
So I better just sort of check some comments, see if we've got any good questions for you here. So we got 80s on Star Wars guy. He won't be able to join in. Okay.
No problem.
1000th Ghost will be here in the background. Work has been nuts today. Okay. Hello. What's up? What's going on? Okay. And here's Will. Good morning, Dean and Jack. Hope you two are well. Just having my porridge, brown sugar and milk. So he's in New Zealand. And there's Mark. Hello there. Hey. Okay, nice to see Jack again. And Chris, 1000th Ghost. There's Gavin. Evening, Gavin. Mark. So, Gavin. 1000th Ghost. And there's Tess. Clone Wars is fantastic. Yeah. I'll maybe need to
give it a go.
Try it. The trouble is, I don't know what's happened to me, but lately I'm finding time is going by at an alarming rate. I just do not seem to have enough time to do everything I want to do these days.
Yeah.
I can honestly say, hand on heart, in the last 2 years, I have never once been bored.
That's good.
I've always had something. I'm either doing something or I have a list of things I need to do. And it's bizarre because, so right now it's 3:24. I guarantee you it's going to be 10 o'clock and I'll say, my God, where did that time just go?
The days go fast. This last year especially has gone very fast.
Yeah, and ironically, the last year flew by despite everything being supposedly shut down and brought to a halt. I found last year one of the fastest years I've ever experienced.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Turns out I will be able to join for a bit. Okay, so 80s and Star Wars guy is another youngster who is I think he's in high school, who also loves and collects vintage Star Wars, which is great.
Cool.
Tez. So a lot of greetings going back and forth. Hey, Tez. Yep, good guest indeed. Aop Gavin. And Aop Mark. Snaggletooth is a girl. I think I heard that somewhere before, actually. Now, what's its name? It's been given like Zooton or something?
There's different ones. Zutton is one of them, yeah.
Yeah. I knew it. Hey, Tez. Modern Tat. You know what? I think sometimes I give it a bit of an unfair rap because I am extremely biased. That I'm very much all about vintage toys and vintage items.
Yeah.
And some people, well, a lot of modern stuff is crap, let's be honest. I've bought a couple of modern, cheaper Transformers to do a comparison video with them, and those are absolutely modern tat. They're flimsy, they're horrible plastics. But on the other hand, there are modern things that are extremely well made and are really quality pieces. So I think I need to stop calling all modern stuff tat. Let's talk crisps. Yeah, the chat always goes towards crisps for some reason.
I remember last.
I don't know what's happened, but my local supermarket has been importing a lot of British stuff lately. Mostly it's been chocolate biscuits and confectionery. No sign of crisps yet, but I really wish they would. Especially, they need to get some Monster Munch in.
We have good crisps here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the things that I do miss the most about the UK is the crisps. America, I've said this last time, but America, their flavors are all very simple and basic. There's no prawn cocktail or sausage and tomato or I don't know, pickled onion.
They do all the promotions, Walkers, all the different flavors, and then you vote for one and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the free Boba Fett.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Jack.
Budget.
Let's see. I was going to say that. Oh, I don't know what that would refer to because we've been a bit behind here. Anyone remember Crisscross?
I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
Oh, what you do at school? I don't know.
I'm not sure. Maybe you need to comment again to remind us. Lol, the rap. Crisscross. Oh, yeah, it was like two little young rappers. Possibly, yeah. No, the cheese snack. Crisscross cheese snack. No memory of that at all. Salt and Pepper. Yeah, remember that. Pepsi and Shirley. I think they were Wham's backing singers. Depends where you buy them. I Need Warwick and Barada. Yeah. And I think, you see, the mistake I made was I bought a lot of desirable characters first and left the least desirable to the end. And as a result, I'm now being faced with really high prices for some pretty horrible figures.
Same situation.
Yeah.
I started picking the ones I liked, and I didn't really have any of the last 17. It's only in the last year that I've had to start getting them. So
yeah, it's probably a flawed tactic when it's a collection. Although in saying that, when you're starting a collection, you really want the figures that you really want. You don't want to be buying something that doesn't look so good.
That's it, because when you start collecting, you don't think, oh, I'm going to own all 96 of these. I'm just going to buy the ones I like. And then you get all the ones you like. Then the next thing comes along.
Yeah. Well, that's the very things happened to me with the Transformers, because I said at the outset, I'm only going to get the ones that I really like and admire. And as I got more and more of them, I thought, wow, you're pretty close to the first wave. And as a result of that, two of the ones that I'm needing to complete that first wave were probably the two least desirable, Ratchet and Ironhide, because they just look terrible as Transformers.
Yeah.
But because I wasn't intending to have a full set, I didn't even think about those two. But now that I'm getting there, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to get these eventually.
Because aren't you getting wave 1? Did you say wave 1 and 2 you want to get?
Yeah.
That was it.
Wave 1 and 2 primarily. Although, so right now, I think I'm 4. Well, I've got those 2 coming. So I've got 2 more I need to complete wave 1. And I think I'm going to put that on pause, get those 2, then put the Transformers on pause for a while, and maybe look at something else, maybe Mask.
Yeah, those look cool. I don't know much about them.
So you don't have any Mask in your collection?
I don't. I do have a few Transformers though, original.
Yeah.
Oh God. Only ones, like, once again, just get ones that I like. So I've got, this is Soundwave.
Yeah.
He's really cool. He's my favorite, probably.
Oh yeah. When I got hold of mine at the tail end of last year, I was like so happy with that, because I'd always admired it as a child but never had it.
Yeah.
And I can still remember the day when I saw it for the first time. I was in primary 6 and it was playtime, and one kid had brought it into school, and I just couldn't. And also bearing in mind, this was what, 84, 85. It was the height of the Walkman phase. So they all had their genuine Walkmans listening to our music. And this kid brought in this Walkman. He says, watch this. And he transformed. I'm like, what the hell? My mind was blown by that. And if that wasn't amazing enough, he then produced the mini cassette and transformed that. I'm like, holy shit, this is the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, they're cool. Because I have Megatron and Metroplex as well.
Yeah.
I love how Megatron turns into the little gun.
Yeah. And the thing about these Transformers, and in particular those mini cassettes, it's the engineering that went into designing those. It's fantastic, because I'm having to assume that back when those things were created, there was no computer-aided technology to draw it up for you. This is someone had to actually physically work out the dimensions of what needs to fold into what part and which has to bend this way to go that way to then produce a robot from a cassette. It's really fantastic engineering from those guys.
I've seen you can buy loads of separate cassettes as well, can't you? In like a big box, and then there's Autobot ones as well, isn't there?
Yeah, well, that proved to be an issue for me recently, because I got the reissue of the Autobot Blaster, which is the boombox.
Yeah.
But they issued that as a reissue, but didn't reissue any cassettes to go with it. So I had to go searching for an Autobot cassette.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like seeing it with the tape deck empty. And part of me said, well, you know what, you could just stick in a Decepticon to make it look good. I thought, no, I can't put a Decepticon into an Autobot. So I had to go searching, and I managed to find an original eject cassette Autobot, which wasn't in the best of condition, but it was fine because I just wanted it to sit inside the tape deck. So Warwick has been £50 for years, but now 200. Yeah, that's exactly the problem. And it really sucks, because it's unfortunate, because I am not at all a fan of Ewoks. And so that's me. There's 2 of them I need, and they're so expensive now. It's insane.
I need Warwick and Romba, which are 2 of the expensive ones.
Yeah, those are the 2 that I'm needing. And it also, it still annoys me to this day that over the course of the original Kenner line, they gave us 8 Ewoks. It's just, that's probably 5 too many.
They could have filled those spaces with characters like Moff Tarkin or something.
Well, that's exactly it. Plus the fact that, I think I said this last week, it really bothered me that the Power of the Force line was not a movie-specific line, given that they gave us the Luke and Stormtrooper disguise. So that line could have been used to fill the blanks. And I think one of the biggest errors was, okay, you've given us a Luke Stormtrooper, where's the Han Stormtrooper?
Stan Solo do a Han Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That would be probably one of the only sort of ones I would consider.
Yeah, but it's the fact that they gave us like more of Jabba's goons, and also two of the least value for money figures being Anakin and Imperial Dignitary, where there's no accessories with those figures. Terrible figures. But again, this is where Kenner, a lot of what they did made no sense whatsoever, because obviously they had fabric capes for Lando and the Luke Endor in the last 17 line, but they did sculpted capes on the Dignitary and Anakin Skywalker when they weren't giving those figures any accessories. They could have boosted the value for money aspect by giving them some fabric capes. But
something that surprised me as well is, because obviously, so Darth Vader, for example, had a vinyl cape to start. I'm surprised for Return of the Jedi, for example, they didn't change it. They kept the same vinyl cape throughout. Yeah.
A lot of their decision making was a bit weird, to say the least. So Gavin needs 8 more to finish.
Nearly there.
And Mark, he picked up 9 so far this year, and we're only just into April, so that's good going. Really good going. Here's Sean Solo. Hello there.
Yep.
Good to watch Yoda and Luke. Yeah. Yeah. Love you both. Love both of you guys. Cool. Thank you. Some going. Chris Smith does have an ex-Kenner guy working for him. Very good. Sean. Hi, Mark. Evening. I just he lost Leah Black. That's a shocker. I mean, now am I right in saying it was a workman that was doing some work at your place that caused that to go missing? If so, I'd be billing him for it, because, like you said, what, like 70 pounds for the blaster?
It's something like that. It's ridiculous.
Oh, it's insane. It really is. Kevin. Hello. Jack has a nice B-wing.
I got it off Mark.
Oh, okay.
And it is a nice B-wing. It's got
was that one of his options? Or?
It was. Yeah, I got it off one of the auctions.
Oh, nice. See, that's a vehicle that I never had any desire to get, because I have this weird fascination with symmetry, and when it's on display, like, how do you position it? Do you position it like all this way, or on its side, or?
I've got it like that on the floor, like just on the side.
Yeah,
it's really difficult to display. I'd love to display it with it stood up. You can buy special stands from that Zach Paris, but it's expensive to ship something that big. But perhaps in the future, perhaps try and build something out of a guitar stand or something like that.
Yeah, it's one of those weird ships that doesn't. It should have come with its own stand.
It should have done. Yeah. Evening.
Wallace, evening. Mr. Wallace. Hey, Darth Mark. Strawberry Shortcake TIE Pilot. Yeah. So, were you familiar with the Strawberry Shortcake dolls?
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Obviously a girl's toy, but those were little plastic dolls that were designed to smell amazing. And if you watch my video, there is one theory that the TIE Fighter pilot was made at the same factory and picked up the smell. So who knows? Hey, Uncle T. Winner, Lando dinner. Evening all. Hey, Chris. Smiley faces. Mark, Shabby Geek. Hey, Shabby. Evening, Dean and Jack. Hey, everyone in the chat. Hey, Dave at Vintage Toy Rush. Evening all. Shabby. So, me and my son already enjoying the prequels at the moment. What do you guys think of Jar Jar Binks? I found him to be incredibly annoying. That's really all I can say.
Yeah, the same. He has a lot of hate, but I don't hate him that much. He is annoying, but
yeah,
massively dislike him.
I also found that with especially episode 1, a lot of the dialogue was really hard to understand.
It was a bit over the top as well. It was really fast. Yeah.
Some of the accents were just way over the top, and you have to sort of sometimes rewind a part back to say, what did he just say there? Because I couldn't understand what was being said.
They calmed him down for Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, because I think Lucas originally wanted Jar Jar to sort of lead the story or something, but obviously after all the hate he got after minutes, they calmed it down.
Yeah, thankfully. What do both of you guys think about the retro line of figures? Should they new Solo and Rogue One figures in that?
Yeah, the retro collection.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I'm a big fan of it because it allows you to, well, I was going to say it allows you to go into a store to buy a figure and bring back the memories. Given that they very rarely show up in stores, that probably isn't correct. But I do like the concept of having something that those of us who were there the first time round can buy and, bring back those memories. In terms of the actual product itself, the first wave was a bit hit or miss. Luke Skywalker especially is pretty awful. Aside from the bright yellow hair, it was also the face sculpt just looked so wrong. And of course, the problem with those figures holding their weapons, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, they fall out, yeah. I don't own any of them, but I think they're good if you want them, especially if you fancy a Boba Fett card.
Yeah. The second wave was much improved, and those figures could hold their weapons. However, the whole idea with the weathered card, I'm not a fan of.
No, I'd be happy if it didn't have the weathering, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, and also the big glaring red sticker. Whilst it can be removed,
you have to.
There was no need for that, given that no one was ever going to pass these off as being genuine 1970s originals.
No, you'd be able to tell because it's got the Hasbro logo. Yeah.
Well, the Hasbro logo, it's got website addresses and all sorts of things. But also the quality of the card was dreadful. So
it's really thin, isn't it? Yeah.
Thin and flimsy. And in America, Wave 2 was Walmart exclusive.
Yeah.
So Amazon and Walmart are the two worst companies for shipping out collectible items because they just don't care. They force things into a box that's too small. They ship carded figures in an envelope. So everything I've received from either Walmart or Amazon has arrived damaged.
Same, yeah.
And that's what compounds the fact is with the vintage collection, the cards were flimsy to begin with. So when I got my Wave 2, and in fact, I still have not seen a Boba Fett for sale at retail price.
People are charging more, aren't they, online?
Yeah, I was lucky that someone sent me one because I went on to Walmart the second the pre-orders were announced to buy a set. I could only get the other 5 figures.
Yeah.
And luckily someone sent me the Boba Fett. Still not seen it online for retail price. But again, with it being a Walmart exclusive, Hasbro keeps rewarding Amazon and Walmart with these exclusives that in other words, if you want that figure, you have to buy it from Walmart or Amazon. And you're basically guaranteeing yourself getting a damaged item.
Yeah, it's like I got they did a speeder bike in Black Series, and you can only get that from Amazon. Luckily, that arrived okay. But I bought vintage collection figures from them before, and I've had the cards are like folded in like an envelope, like thing like you say. And I returned it, and then they sent me another, and it just arrived worse. So I just want a refund.
Yeah, I think I saw a story. It might have been Mark Shabby Geek who pre-ordered something, and it arrived damaged. So he wanted a replacement, but Amazon had no more replacements in their warehouse. But they suggested a third-party seller from Amazon who was scalping the item.
What?
So if I remember this correctly, maybe you can let us know in the comments. But my understanding was item arrives damaged, asks for replacement, gets told we have no more in stock, but these sellers are selling it for like 5 times the retail price. It's just ridiculous. And that's like another thing as well, is the whole scalping situation. It can easily be clamped down by putting limits on pre-orders.
Yeah, they have started doing that, but they don't do it for all characters. Just so, like for example, the new Boba Fett from the Vintage Collection. It's like strictly one per customer here at most retailers.
Right, that's good to know, because it was so obvious it was going to happen last time round. I guess it was like this time last year they started shipping out the Wave 2 of Retro Collection, and lo and behold, could not buy it anywhere for retail price, but you go onto eBay and there they were for like $100-$120, and those sellers were like had more than 10 available. So you know that probably 5 guys bought every Boba Fett in America to scalp on eBay, meaning that the people who just wanted one couldn't get one.
It's just wrong. It's like here in the UK, so like Star Action figures, the pre-orders sell out, and if you don't get that pre-order, you've got to go straight on eBay because no other retailer has it, and then you've got to pay that price. They take advantage.
Yeah. My one and only hot toy I got was the Boba Fett in vintage Kenner colors.
That's
and
cool.
when I pre-ordered that was strictly one per customer. So I made my pre-order, and then maybe a couple of weeks went by. I was curious to know what would happen if I tried to order another one. So logged back in, and boom, denied. You've already had one. That's your lot type thing. I thought, well, that's one way of going about it. Obviously, I guess you could have multiple logins if you wanted, but just putting some measures in place to stop scalping should be done, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. What are Hot Toys like? Because I've ordered a Boba Fett, the Empire Strikes Back one. I've never had a Hot Toys before. So what's it like?
Oh, it's fantastic. The attention to detail is mind blowing.
Yeah.
Down to, because you know how Boba Fett has those little tools down the front of his pants,
the knives and all
that. Yeah, those are so well detailed, and even though they're tiny, all of those are in there. And the posability is fantastic.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is that they are slightly overpriced. Let's be honest.
If it's a character, that's the way I looked at it. I thought, okay, I'm not going to collect these. I just want to buy my favorite character. Like, is your favorite character, or
not necessarily? But the only reason I went for that was because it was done in vintage Kenner
colors. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. But I would definitely, if I had the money, I would like to get more of them. But again, it's one of these rabbit holes. Once you go down, you say to yourself, I'm only going to get 2 or 3, and then those 2 or 3 look so good on display. You think, oh, I could maybe add one more, and then before you know it, you've got a whole collection costing tens of thousands of dollars or pounds. And
this is what I'm worried about, is when it arrives, I'm really going to love it, and then I'm going to want to get the Jango Fett, obviously the father, to go with it, which is later in the year. Boba Fett from Mandalorian. It's just a hand if you're not careful.
I've just realized we went completely off tangent on the question that was asked about should they do Solo and Rogue One retro figures. I'm going to say no, and I also don't believe they should have done the Mandalorian retro collection either. Even though I've pre-ordered it, I don't think it's suitable.
Yeah, I think the demand's there, though, isn't it? I think the retro collection's been much more popular than they thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's true. But again, there are so many amazing classic Kenner figures that need to be re-released. They should be focusing on those. The fact is, if they were to give us some of these last 17 in retro collection, they would fly off the shelves. No question.
They really would.
Yeah. Star Wars figure prices have gone mad. I think it's because all of us at home. Yep, definitely. No question about that. Is there shabby retro collection coming next week?
Probably.
I think mine said May possibly, but who knows? I got mine this time. I think the Mandalorian wave was more or less a general release. It wasn't like one particular store.
No.
So I ordered from Entertainment Earth, who know how to ship things out very carefully. So I've no concern about mine arriving damaged from Entertainment Earth. Hey, Mark. What do you guys think of people who only collect modern? I have no opinion. If you like modern, then that's what you like. There's no.
I agree. We all collect different things. Whatever you collect to you.
Yeah, I mean, some might say that I'm a vintage snob, and I'm certainly not. It's just that I have such a connection to the old vintage things that whilst I appreciate the modern things, it doesn't grab me the same way that seeing an old vintage toy does. Maybe it's an age thing, I don't know. But no, I certainly have no opinion on anyone who strictly collects modern. I mean, again, a lot of it will depend on how old you are. I think it's fair to say that you, Jack, are probably the exception to the rule.
I love vintage the most, yeah.
Yeah, that's more unique than most other people of your age will probably only want to have modern stuff. And I think a lot of younger people may well look back at the vintage and say, oh my God, that stuff looks so basic. I don't want that. But I think it's the fact that it's more the magic behind those things. It's the nostalgia, which I guess young people don't necessarily have. But and there's the answer right here. Collect what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hey. Let's see. Care package needed. Oh yeah. Hey Dean, this isn't Star Wars related, but do you remember remote-controlled cars in the late 70s and early 80s, which were controlled with a clicker or hand clap? Absolutely, yes, I do. Have you heard of these, Jack?
I haven't. No, explain. I don't know.
No, it was the weirdest thing. So it came with it was a remote-controlled car, and you would change direction or make it go forward and back by means of this clicker. It was like in fact, it was very much like a Scalextrics handle.
Yeah.
Completely standalone with no electronics, but it had a metal plate that when you pulled the trigger would snap back and forth to give this clicking sound. And the clicking sound would cause the car to move. So I think it might have been 1 to go forward, 2 to go back type thing. You could also do it with hand claps.
Was it delayed? Did it was it so you clap and then it would move like a little bit after? Sort of delayed.
Yeah, it was delayed. But I also remember the clicker. I once held it to my ear and almost caused permanent deafness. This clicking thing was so loud. Yeah, absolutely. I do remember those. I've got to be honest, not a whole lot of fun because, like you said, it was a delayed response. So you would click and then the car would move and you have to wait and click again. But they were all right, I guess. You're getting British stuff because we can't export it to our neighbors anymore. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Salt and Vinegar. Yep. One of the all-time classics. Yes. That's a band. Is that going back to what? Now, was that Criss Cross or Pepsi and Shirley singing for Wham? Hi, there's Erin O'Brien. Kevin. Hey, Shabby and Dave. Jack, back in the day, we could only buy toys from a toy shop. Do the young fellas like buying offline, or would you like to walk into a toy shop like the old days?
So now I have to buy everything online.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, we did have like Toys R Us, Domino's, those sort of shops where you could go and buy toys. But I think the issue is nowadays, with obviously kids not playing with toys as much, you just get like a little sort of short aisle in Sainsbury's or a supermarket. It's not big now. So yes, I would prefer to walk into a toy shop and pick it up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my issues. Like where I live, there are no toy shops. We only have the big pharmacies like Walgreens, Duane Reade, and Rite Aid, and they have a toy aisle. And they used to have a lot of Star Wars figures because I remember seeing them, but lately they've had nothing, and the shelves are bare. They have a lot of modern Transformers, which I've bought a couple of. I'm not a fan of those, but aside from that, there is nothing of any interest to me. Hopefully that changes soon, but I don't see it.
I can see it getting worse because
yeah.
Recently.
it's a pretty sad state of affairs. Again, though, if most kids are content playing video games or playing iPhones or whatever, why would they sell toys? You know?
Yeah, and it's like with the new figures, they're more aimed towards the collector rather than they're more towards the collector than the kid.
Exactly. Yeah, Gavin, guys, I had to explain dial-a-disc to Brandon last night.
Is that like the phone?
Yeah.
Dial-up.
The dial-a-disc. It rings a bell, but is that where you could listen to a song through the phone? I'm not sure. Howdy, y'all, Dr. Dave. Having a hard time bringing myself to buy Imperial Dignitary. Yeah, don't blame you. It's unfortunate that, sadly, the last 17, they had some really great figures. The Imperial Gunner being one.
Yeah.
And again, another of Kenner's weird things whereby the poncho look needs a removable helmet, but doesn't have a removable, those sort of things. But those two aside, I guess Lando General's quite cool as well, but there's some real horrible figures in that last 17.
I really like a Man-a-Man. Do you like a Man-a-Man?
Well, I don't. Well, again, I have a fake. I have a Stan Solo.
Yeah.
It's just a weird looking thing. It's absolutely huge.
It is weird.
Big gangly arms.
Yeah. I can never get the staff to sit properly.
No, never. But again, looking back, because by the time those figures came out, I was long finished playing with and buying Star Wars figures. I'm trying to think if 10-year-old me walking into John Menzies or Boots and seeing that figure, if I would have wanted to buy it, I think probably not as a kid, to be honest.
Stormtrooper up or something that stands out to you.
Yeah. More greetings here. Hey, Jedi. There's Aaron. Hi, Jack. Oh, I love Ratchet. There's a little bit more play value with that sled of his. Yeah, I guess that's true. So I don't know are you familiar with the Ratchet Transformer, Jack?
I don't know what he looks. I know him from the new movies, but I don't know.
No, it's a weird one whereby it's like a van, and only the front part of the van is the Transformer Autobot, but the back of the van folds out into this weird sled with a laser rifle thing on it. It's the weirdest looking thing, and the reason I don't like this figure along with Ironhide is that they don't have actual heads. They just look really strange, but you can buy add-on heads from a third party to make it look like it does in the cartoon, so I may have to go down that route. Soundwave, there's the man. Yeah, definitely. Here's a tip for you, Jack. If you're near Manchester, there's a great shop called Star Wars, man. He has the biggest second-hand market of all action figures, but it deals a lot in Star Wars.
I'll make a note of that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Let's write that down.
Oh, you need to see that again.
Star Wars.
Star Wars, man. Yeah. So that's the actual physical location then. That's
Manchester is probably a couple of hours away from me.
A couple of hours on.
I live near Leicester.
Okay. So, I've never obviously been there, but Leicester, now, is that the home of the infamous Leicester toy shop?
Leicester Vintage, and a lot of the stuff in this room is from that shop.
Ah, nice.
I've been going for years. It's great.
Cool. I swapped my R2 for the purple one. Yeah. Funny enough, today I found out why American chocolate is awful. Hershey put in additive to the milk so it would stay fresh longer. This makes the chocolate taste funny. Yeah, absolutely. I've gotten used to it now over the years. But at first, I found Hershey's to be absolutely disgusting, to the point where it tasted like soapy cheese. It was so weird tasting. But certainly, given the choice, I always gravitate towards Cadbury. I wouldn't recommend Hershey at all.
I tried Reese's from America. Someone brought
Yeah.
them back. They were really cheesy, like that sicky, cheesy, horrible.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's I don't know. Obviously, it's this additive, but for people to think it tastes good blows my mind. It's horrible.
Hey, Brandon.
How's the training going, Shabby? Oh yeah, I commented on that video with Shabby doing the training.
Yes,
That's hilarious.
That was funny. I commented on that.
Yeah. Hey up, Dave. Talk of the devil. Hey, Brandon. Jack, show Dean your Metroplex.
Yeah, that's possible. Sorry, it's a bit of a state in here. Can you see him in there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
He's just the side of him. It's really cool.
That's huge. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Because of the little guys as well that you can attach to him.
Yeah. Again, that's another of these Transformers that it's not on my list at the moment, but who knows what might happen down the line. But like I said, started out where I was only going to get Wave 1, but the problem with that was I don't know if in the UK we got Wave 1 and Wave 2 at the same time. I know that in America, Wave 1 hit in 1984 and Wave 2 was 85. But I have a suspicion that I think Wave 1 and Wave 2 hit the UK round about the same time in 85. So for me, I'm all about the 84, 85, and maybe a bit of 86. So I'm not sure when Metroplex came. Possibly.
Is he one of the later ones?
I'm not sure. I need to look at that up. But like I said, it's not on my immediate list, but it may well happen down the line. Still at work, but I had to swing by. Well, thank you for swinging by, though. Jack, what's your thoughts on the FX lightsabers?
I think they're really cool. I got my first one last year. I got the Darth Vader Empire Strikes Back one. Right. Really cool piece, but they take up quite a lot of room. And they're not the most practical thing to display either.
No. I have to say, I've always fancied one, but now when you got yours, did you swing it around the place and pretend you were Darth Vader?
Yeah, I accidentally hit the ceiling.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. I really had a good time with it, and then I just put it down. It's in the corner.
Yeah. I could see myself damaging something. Hey, Brandon. Hi, it's Ben from work.
Oh, it's Ben. Hi, Ben.
Hey, now Ewoks are the best. Well, I'm sure Brandon would think that, but
yeah.
No kid wanted that Anakin. Yeah, it's such a. Well, not only was it a lame-looking figure, it was just the least good value for money figure.
No accessories at all.
No accessories. An old man in a dressing gown. No kid wanted that. No way. Ben. All right, Jack.
Right.
Hey, Shabby. Hello, Shabby. Hi, Jack. And on the crisp side, I miss prawn cocktail skips. Those crisps, even though they melt. Yeah, they melt on the tongue. Yes, skips. In fact, I think the UK is probably the only country in the world that does prawn cocktail flavored crisps or snacks. Not something I've seen elsewhere. Skips and quavers were the sort of melty ones I remember.
That's it. I don't really like skips, but I like quavers.
Yeah. Always thought Transformers engineering was smart. The origins of that was invented decades ago, and I guess by some geniuses in Japan. Yeah, just fantastic. The way they were able to achieve that without, like I said, computers assisting them, just phenomenal talent. Do you sell any of your collection? So, Jack, do you sell anything?
I recently sold off some of the Force Awakens and Rogue One stuff. I'm in the process of doing that now because they were in the loft.
Yeah.
But I don't tend to really sell things because I just get the things I like. So
Yeah. Well, for me, I've not sold anything that I've bought in the last couple of years for the same reason that I've only bought things I actually want.
yeah,
Sadly, I did make the mistake of selling my childhood stuff, which to this day still haunts me. But I don't think there's really anything that I've purchased in the last 2 years that I would ever willingly sell. You never know. Yeah, you never know what the future is going to bring and what may happen. But as things stand, I have no intention of selling anything that I've recently bought. Transformers were the rich kids' toys in the 80s in my hood. I only had the clearance Dinobots. Actually, my first ever Transformer was a GoBot, which for some reason get a pretty bad reputation, but I think they're pretty good. Obviously not as popular as Transformers, despite coming out before Transformers. So are you familiar with the GoBots?
Yes, I have one. I've not got them to hand, but they did come before Transformers, but Transformers ended up surpassing it, didn't it, in popularity with the
big
TV?
time.
Yeah,
for sure. So again, talking about like the Dinobots and the Insecticons, I'm not really fans of those. I like the fact that Transformers, for the most part, went from a vehicle into a robot. I'm not so keen on the sort of dinosaur or insect aspect. But maybe
you had Beast Wars. I don't know if you remember that.
Well, that was way after when I'd stopped.
But that would be when I was growing up. That's what would have been on TV.
Yeah. This is Aaron again. Hi, Jack. Is he spamming you?
Yes.
So strawberry shortcake is back on sale in the States at Target. As tempting as it is to get one to sniff, I don't think I'll be doing that, but that would be interesting to smell one again. Because I remember my friend's sister having the strawberry shortcake and smelling those and thinking, oh my God, this smells amazing. Shabster. Are they next to the TIE pilots? I hated that character. I don't know what we were talking about back then. Some weapons cost more than the figures. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Scented erasers. Absolutely. So, were those a thing when you were in school, Jack?
No, it was just a plain white eraser.
Oh my God. We had some of the best erasers. I had quite a decent collection as a kid. And when I was back in the UK 2 years back, I actually found it in my parents' house. Obviously, the smell had disappeared, but whatever you can imagine, there was an eraser of that. And they all had these amazing smells. We also had scented felt tip pens. I guess it was the era of they just discovered how to create certain smells. So they put it on everything from girls' dolls to pens and pencils and erasers. Most weapons are, yeah. I had 2 sisters and 2 brothers. We had all the 80s toys: Shortcake, Care Bears, Smurfs. The best was Alf. No one talks about Alf anymore. I know who Alf is, but I have no recollection of that as a kid, though. I don't know. Oh, wait, what's going on here? Is this someone you know?
I think I'd just get rid of it. I don't know who it is.
Is Jar Jar Binks the wheelie of Transformers? Yeah, wheelie is a very undesirable, annoying Transformer. Hey, Stormy T. Why is original figure weapons so damned high in price? Well, I think because they were so easily lost and there are so few of them in existence. It's like when you look at eBay for vintage Star Wars figures, 99% of them do not have the weapon.
Yeah, they're always missing the weapon.
Always. Hi, Shabby. Long story, Johnny. I've never seen a Beskar Mando Vintage Collection or Black Series. Yeah, I'm wondering, is that another scalper's favorite?
I had to pre-order those to get them. I've never seen them in a shop at all.
Yeah. Stormy. Hi. Got an orange pill Jedi Boba today. Can't believe it.
That's the the vintage collection one.
Right.
The new one, there's an orange variant where there's less manufactured than the yellow pill.
Okay.
Really change.
Yeah. Very nice. Kenner, Tall Toys, Airfix, Matchbox are my toy companies from the 70s. I would only buy from them. Is there a toy company you favor over the rest? Jack, over to you. Do you have any one company that you like to buy from?
Hasbro, even though they're not.
Yeah, I mean, it's
yeah,
almost like the only company to buy from these days.
It is now because they bought out all stuff like Kenner and that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now, I've been reading online about certain other manufacturers today where their product just breaks by looking at it. I forget, is it NECA or?
Yes, I've seen Retro Busting talk about that. They're really flimsy. They break.
Yeah. So do you have any NECAs?
I have a couple of video game ones, like Halo. Have you had a Halo before?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got some of those. They're quite good.
I think it's possible I might have one of Iron Maiden Eddie statues that might be NECA. I need to look that up.
The skeleton.
Yeah. It hasn't broken. I've had that for probably 10 years now. Hello, guys. Yes, Walmart and Amazon aren't the best when it comes to collectibles. Yeah, absolutely terrible. Disgraceful that they treat collectibles the way they do. And again, I keep saying this. Why does Hasbro keep giving those two companies the exclusives, whereby you have to buy it from them? Ridiculous. Palatoy. So Mark obviously bought everything from Palatoy. Yeah, I think as a kid, I certainly did as well. Star Wars, Action Force, Action Man. Yeah, it was a great company. Yeah, Dean, it was my Black Series Hanon Carbonite. Came damaged, so they would exchange it at $14.99 for the same one at $117. So that's what I was saying, whereby he gets his item, it's damaged, he wants a replacement. Amazon have none left themselves, but offer to sell one for $117. That's ridiculous. Outrageous. Should I get my 80s toys graded? Not really. Not unless you're intending to sell them for huge profits. I think I'm very much against grading. And I have, in fact, opened a couple of AFA cases to get the figures out because I wanted, it was a Bespin look, but I could not find one in the condition that I was looking for. And I got the chance to buy a graded one for a very, very good price. So once I got it, smashed that case open and got this beautiful Bespin look out. Are you a fan of grading, Jack?
I only have one graded figure, and that's a Pat Blue. And the reason I got it is because it was cheaper than buying one loose. I've considered opening it a few times, but it's still in the case at the moment. But I don't look to buy graded, to be honest.
No, not at all. Crazy. Yeast infection.
Why does that? I don't know
who is it? Yeah. Hot toys are great. I collect hot toys. Yeah. Make no mistake, they're fantastic, but very, very expensive hobby to get involved with. Did someone say hot toys? Yeah. Scalpers short supply have put me off collecting anything new. Had wanted to pick up some figures recently, but it was a supremely frustrating experience, and I just decided it wasn't worth the hassle. Funny you should say that, Kevin, because I just filmed a video 2 days ago that will be released on Sunday discussing my experience with my desire to collect Black Series and why I will not be collecting Black Series. All right, here we go. No,
Is there any way you can get rid of it?
Yeah, I'm going to ignore this, whoever that is. Where is your retro collection coming from next week, Mark? Yeah, I'd like to know where he ordered his from. The Saint car, I remember that was sound activated. So back to that thing about the clicker to make the cars working. Oh yes, the Lunchbox was a great remote controlled car. So I guess Mark got the retro collection from In Demand Toys. Sonic controlled land speeder. Now I'm wondering if that was also the same clicker thing. I briefly had the remote control R2D2 from the late 70s, and that was radio controlled. So I wonder if the land speeder was a clicker. I'd like to know. What really pisses me off is collectors that buy 20 or 30 of the same figure. Army building, okay, but no one needs 20 Boba Fett's. Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I've seen on Twitter and Facebook the collector who has like 50 Bespin Lukes all lined up. I don't really see the point in that. And, you know, I guess a lot of people will say that the Bespin Luke is the best looking Star Wars figure. And I tend to agree with that, but you don't need 50 of the same figure. Razwaz. Remember the cars that could follow crayon lines? I vaguely remember that. Something you recall?
No, never heard of that. No. How does that work?
I think you would take a crayon and draw on a piece of paper like you would draw a track, if you will, and put the car down, and the car could follow that track. Tez says, those clicks used to drive my mum insane. Oh, absolutely. The clicker was extremely loud. Like I said, I almost caused deafness in my ear by doing that. So too close to my ear. Oops. Simon, I got okay. Toy and Hobby had massive Star Wars range. I'm guessing Toy and Hobby was a store.
That's a UK store, isn't it? Or used to be.
Yeah, I think when we were growing up, we all had that one store in our town or city that sold model railway stuff and Airfix models and things. Scalextrics had hours of fun playing on that. Did you ever have Scalextrics?
I did have Scalextrics, yeah. Those were fun. And my dad still got all his in the loft. We used to build a big truck around the house. Yeah, really, really fun toy that. It is.
Royal Dignitary crap, yeah. I've got an Imperial Dignitary. No one wants it anymore. It's tarnished. It's one of those figures that gets the bad rap. Oh, hang on, Tim. Okay. Star Wars man made a mistake. I don't know. Oh, maybe the store in Manchester is actually called Star Wars Man.
Ah, okay.
Star Wars Man. Not many vintage left in Flex Palace. Afflex is amazing. Okay. In 1987, early wave Metroplex, that's where I draw the line. Things got a bit funky design-wise after that. Yeah. The reference book that I've got for Transformers, I haven't actually looked beyond 1987 because having flicked through it, what I'm seeing is does not appeal to me at all. And again, my memory of Transformers was from the first couple of waves. So, New Zealand, best chocolate, bugger that Yank chocolate. Yeah, I can attest to that because Will did in fact send me some from New Zealand. Honestly, it's like the best chocolate I've ever tasted, and the bars were absolutely enormous, huge chunks on them as well. Those were fantastic. I got the 4K 77 Star Wars, 4K 83 Return of the Jedi Blu-rays from eBay this week. Can't wait to watch them. Anyone know why I can't get the 4K Empire? Does that even exist?
Have you heard of these before?
Are these the sort of upscaled?
So they're, because obviously the Blu-rays Disney released the special editions, whereas I've got it here actually. The unedited version hasn't been released since this, I think, because this has 2 discs in it. Has obviously the special edition and the completely unedited. So the 4K 77 is basically, I think it's recapturing the original film in 4K resolution. But yeah, I don't think they've done Empire yet. I've not bought them, but they are good.
So in the 4K 77, I presume only Han Solo shoots.
Yes, it's completely unaltered.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, that's one thing. George Lucas is a classic example of just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, you shouldn't have changed. Yeah.
No. I still to this day maintain that scene in Jabba's palace with the Max Rebo band is one of the worst things about Star Wars. That whole musical segment really, really irks me to no end. I hate it.
Really? I like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like it. Because the original music's, it's really slow. I know a lot of people know the original. It's called Jedi Rocks, isn't it?
Yeah. Chat.
I've seen you like
2. What's the best playset and vehicle from that line?
Fire the Force 2. The Snow Speed is really good. It's slightly different to the Kenner one, but it has electronics.
Okay.
Sounds. What is the best place? I have the Mos Eisley Cantinas. They used to do the cardboard. I don't know if you've seen them, the little cardboard sets. They did Jabba's Palace and the Cantina. Probably the Cantina is my favorite.
Yeah. I actually remember seeing this stuff for sale back in 95. In 95, I was, 21. So obviously I wasn't buying them then. I remember seeing them and I looked at them. I thought, what the hell are those? Because those were the big, muscular, beefed up figures.
Yeah.
And the extra long lightsabers that were way out of proportion. But is there still a market for these today? Do people still collect?
Buy them still? And I think recently they have started to creep up a little bit because I think just anything Star Wars at the moment seems to be going. So.
So if you know where to look, I guess that's getting good prices on things. I can't ever just leave a figure behind. If I see one on a car boot or flea market, have all the figures multiples, I can never bring myself to sell any. Yeah, I could imagine that. If you're out somewhere and you see figures for sale, even if you don't need them, you probably will end up buying them just because. I'm not computer savvy enough for that, if you mean downloads. I want to own it on a physical Blu-ray, but not sure if it's been done. Okay. I guess what they're saying is the Empire 4K is there online somewhere to download, but not on physical Blu-ray. Okay. It's deaf out there in the wild. Can't say for certain if there's a physical release. Okay. At least I know it exists. Yeah. My TIE Fighter does not smell like strawberries. Over time, the smell does wear off. Yes, unfortunately. Hi, chaps. Starbird Command Base was a classic, and it was huge. I don't know what that relates to.
I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah.
Toy line, that is.
Yeah. Hey, dude, how you doing today? I just received a notification, so I'm here. Okay, thanks for joining us. Well, this seems like a genuine comment. So my main 3 growing up were He-Man, Transformers, and Thundercats. 80s toys were the last golden era. Well, certainly, again, I'm very biased. I do think that the 80s were the pinnacle of toys. Obviously, Star Wars, He-Man, Transformers, Action Force, G.I. Joe, etc. I never had any Thundercats, although I did watch the cartoon every week. So in your opinion, Jack, the 2000s, what were the top toy lines back then?
For me, so Star Wars, Transformers, but obviously the newer ones.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Right.
but not the original wave, but would have been the later one. Like, and then obviously technology started to come in, didn't it? And gaming was more popular.
Yeah.
But those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head.
Right. Cool. They were just trying to repeat the Cantina Band of episode 4. That scene didn't work. Yeah. Here's Luke. Sorry, boys, I'm late. Good to see you on, Jack. And the 80s were the pinnacle. Yeah. I think I've said this before. I think the reason 80s toys were so good was that we had enough technology to make the toys interesting, but not enough technology that made us want to stay indoors the whole time. It was like the best of both worlds, whereas the generations that followed, I think the emphasis was more on electronic toys or more likely video games.
Yeah.
Whereas going back in time, the 70s, the toys, I think, were pretty good, but they didn't quite have enough technology to make them interesting enough. Whereas for me, the 80s had it all. It had enough technology to make it really cool and interesting, but not so much that we didn't want to get outside and have fun playing and using our imaginations. I think that's the other thing as well that's lacking in today's younger generation. There's no need to use your imagination because everything is presented to you in virtual reality. You don't have to use your brain to conjure up play ideas.
Exactly, because when you play with toys, you're creating your own stories, your own imagination. Yep. So
exactly, and that's why I think toys like Lego. I mean, obviously they still do sell Lego, which is wonderful. But I think, having grown up playing with Lego, that in itself taught me to use my imagination and create new toys for myself using the bricks I already had. I think it was a wonderful.
Yeah. No, I love Lego. I never got rid of any of the Lego Star Wars. It's all in the loft because I used to love that as a kid. Especially they had a motorized AT-AT so it would warp, and because they started doing the little electrics in them.
Yeah, well, I actually for a while was collecting Star Wars Lego.
Yeah,
and I was only strictly collecting from the original trilogy, so I wasn't buying everything that was released. But it got to the point where there was just so much of it, and I couldn't keep up. I was running out of space, and I did eventually sell it. But the funny thing is, I remember standing in line to buy a Lego set in the Toys R Us in Times Square, Manhattan, and seeing this brand new product called Star Wars Black Series.
Yeah,
and I remember being quite tempted by it. And back then, I think they had the 3 3/4 inch scale was in boxes, as well as the 6 inch scale. And I stood there with my Lego set thinking, oh my God, do I want to start buying this as well? And I decided not to, which in hindsight is good and bad. I think if I had started, I would probably have had everything by now.
Are those the red and black box? What, the 3 3/4 inch in the red and black box, like the Black Series?
Yeah, but these were the original Black Series, which was like a black box with either a blue line or an orange line.
Yeah, like the TIE Pilot or the orange line, like you said.
Yeah, but
they had vintage collection.
Yeah, but they had the tiny 3 3/4 inch ones were in the little miniature boxes, if I remember rightly, not on card backs. And
that's right. They weren't on vintage card backs like they are now.
Yeah, but you know, I almost that must have been what 2013 or something, or
it's been around for a while. The Black Series now.
Yeah. I love the Max Rebo Band original scene before the remastered. The action figures are among my favorites. I actually got the set quite recently of the Max Rebo Band. A truly bizarre selection of figures, it has to be said. Is that a set that? No, do you do you include them as being essential to complete a set of figures?
No, they're not part of the 96, but
Right.
I do want them. Once I've completed the 96, I do want to get the band. I do want to get Jabba as well because I haven't got him.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. People do count Jabba, Salacious Crumb, Wampa as a character.
And also the Dianoga from the Death Star.
Yeah.
People just buy the figure.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Phantom Menace toy line? I remember when Darth Maul was sold out everywhere to start with. Funny you should say that, because back in, I guess it was 1999, I forget his name now. Is it Ray Park?
Ray Park. Yeah.
Ray Park was doing an autograph signing at our local Forbidden Planet.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be awesome to get that figure, to get him to sign it. So I was driving all over Edinburgh. I was visiting every Woolworths, every John Menzies to try and get this figure. Could not find it anywhere. And then one day I was just in the Woolworths in the little village next to my town, and I found it. I thought, oh my God, I've got it. This is amazing. I'm going to get this signed. It's going to be the coolest thing ever. So I go home with my Darth Maul action figure thinking, yeah, I'm the man. The following day, it was on the news, on the radio, that Ray Park had cancelled the signing session.
Oh, that is annoying. Yeah. Did you ever get around to meeting him again? Or
no, never. No. And I think the funny thing is, I believe he's Scottish, but he's got a very English accent.
Yeah, I don't think he has a very Scottish accent.
No. But do you remember? So did you collect that line when you were young?
No, I did get bought a few of the figures,
right.
But I've considered, because they're fairly easy to get carded. I wouldn't mind getting a run of them at some point.
Yeah. Hey, Reynolds reviews. Greedo is my number one figure. I collect everything Greedo. Is there one figure you would focus or would like to? I actually don't have a particular focus at this point. What about you?
Yeah, Boba Fett is my favorite character. Obviously, all the Hot Toys, got the Black Series helmet. And then obviously with the Kenner figure, there's like different, obviously, variants. I've got like the sort of darker purple one, the lighter blue. And I want to get the, the tri-logo one, the white coloured one.
Oh, yeah.
He's really expensive now, but I do want to get one of those at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if there was one character I would go all in on. I don't know. I mean, it's easy to say Luke Skywalker, I guess. Hey, Luke, shabby. The toys themselves were well constructed and built to last forever, compared to toys made cheaply today. Yeah, I guess also as well the mass production of nowadays. Now, I don't know if this has any relevance to this, but I remember when I was a kid, a lot of things were actually made in Japan, as opposed to nowadays where it's all made in China.
Yeah.
And I know that Japanese-made products tend to be a far superior product to those that are made in China, so possibly a reason behind it. I love the Buck Rogers line. I don't think I had any of the toys, but I do have a Buck Rogers annual that I still have to this day. I remember watching the show. Is that a show that you've watched?
I've not seen it, but my dad gave me his little die cast ship.
Oh, yeah.
That big little die cast, and it had you'd slide the thing and the wings would come out. The little ship. It was cool.
Yep. Dude. Hey, Mark. Always mixed Lego and Star Wars in play. Well, obviously, when I was a kid, there was no Star Wars Lego.
It was in the 90s, wasn't it? It came out.
Yeah. Marky D. Mark Gilks. Starbird was made by MB. It was a massive cardboard space station, a bit like the Palitoy Death Star, but much bigger. I had it for Xmas in 19... Wow, that sounds awesome. If it was bigger than the Death Star, it must have been huge. Never really took to Action Force, even though I loved Action Man. Ah, that's interesting. No, I admit, after I stopped collecting Star Wars in mid 1984, I immediately began buying Action Force for probably another year, or maybe slightly less. No, I really enjoyed Action Force. Now, is that something that you've seen before?
I have a couple of my dad's.
Yeah.
Like the green camo guy, and then
Oh yeah.
one of the pilots as well in like the black and grey
Yeah.
camo uniform.
Yeah.
Really cool in the vehicles.
Yeah, they really were. Although by the time I stopped buying Action Force kind of morphed into G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
And the figures with more articulation and the O-rings to keep the legs in place.
Yes.
So if I do start collecting Action Force, as with Transformers, I'll only collect up to the point that I remember from being a kid. I wouldn't go forward with my collection. Hey, Marty. Okay, got a lot of greetings here. My favorite is the TIE Fighter pilot. Just can't explain why. Well, it's probably the smell.
No, I haven't. I have the red snag. But once I completed the 96, I'll be looking for things to get, and he might be one of them. I do prefer the cantina he comes with, the Sears one. I prefer that to the the Palatoy one, the plastic one. I learned recently that, I think it was on one of Tez's videos actually, the cantina's a copy of a Wild West bar or something.
Right.
Which I didn't know.
Yeah, I have a blue snaggletooth, but again, it's not a real one, but it is brand new, sparkling,
shiny boots, basically.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, it's another thing about the blue snag is that often the boots, the blue or the silver paint is worn off and the blue is going through. It looks terrible. What's the best Star Wars event you've been to? I remember the Ray Park tour you mentioned. He was supposed to go to Forbidden Planet Lesteros. I'm guessing he must have cancelled them all then. I've actually never been to a Star Wars event. What about you, Jack?
Yeah, I went to Star Wars Celebration in, I think it would have been 2015 in London, when it was in London, and that was amazing. But I was a bit younger at the time, so I think if I went now, I'd appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah. I used to build Star Wars sets out of Lego. Okay, very cool. Yeah. I actually once used Lego to build some sets for my Mask figures.
That's cool.
So I completely understand what you mean by that. Big shout out to your dad, Jack, for showing you the love of toys like he had. Yep. When us old buggers go, you young fellows will be the ones to carry it on. In good hands, I reckon, watching. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And that's why it's an absolute honor to be talking to you today, because it's so heartwarming to know that these toys are not going to disappear.
No.
They will continue to be enjoyed by people like yourself, and that's a wonderful thing.
Exactly.
I wonder why Mask toys aren't more highly collected. I don't know. I think part of the problem is they are so fragile that when you look at eBay, it's very rare to see a complete Mask vehicle. Parts just fall off so easily. The plastic is quite brittle. Possibly, that's just my theory as to why. Again, or maybe because people don't like that smaller scale of figure.
It's all about 3 3/4 inch, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah. Although at the time, I remember being quite taken by that smaller scale, thinking, "Wow, they've got so much detail in such a small packages."
It's like the micro collection, isn't it? Star Wars, because they stopped it, didn't they? Pretty soon.
Yeah. Tesmundo. Okay.
What did Jackson?
That's a good question.
So a lot of my close friends know about my collection, and they think it's amazing. They don't really collect things, but my cousin, he collects vintage Star Wars like I do. So we talk about it most days and obviously help each other out trying to find the figures we need. He's also got a list of what figures he's got left to complete the 96. So I've been helping him with that, pointing him in the right direction.
That's awesome. Fantastic. Here in the States, G.I. Joe line of toys was third in popularity behind Star Wars and Transformers. Plenty of characters and vehicles. Yeah, it does seem that way. As I mentioned, I was never into the G.I. Joe style when I was in the UK, and I have no desire to collect the American G.I. Joe, but I am aware that there are a ton of characters and some rather impressive playsets. I think it's the USS Flag, the battleship. That thing is,
it's awesome. That I've seen that.
3 to 5 feet in length or something. It's just huge. I wonder how much that would have cost back in the day. Probably very few kids would have been able to get that, I think.
Exactly, and that's probably why they're so hard to find now, especially complete.
Yeah. Vintage Toy Rush. Mystery Mate mask is amazing. Reynolds. Oh, look, yeah, Luke's collecting mask also. Yeah, it's something that I've tried to get into more recently, but like I said, the problem I'm having is to find a complete item at a decent price it's proving quite difficult. Again, I just think it's down to the fact that they were less well made than other Kenner products, possibly cheaper plastic or something. Plus, as well, the mask itself was a very thing that was very easy to lose.
Yeah,
a lot of the figures that are for sale don't have their mask, which is a bit of a unfortunate thing.
The thing is, you don't want to buy something. Well, some people like to buy stuff incomplete, but it's a project in itself trying to find all this bit. Same with Star Wars, really.
Yeah, it's like when I did the restoration of the Outlaw truck. When I received it from Will, it had one figure and no mask, but the set itself has 2 figures, so I had to find a mask for the figure I had, along with a figure and mask of the other character, which wasn't actually too difficult and not too expensive, to be honest. So maybe I'll go down the route of restoring more mask things if it works out to be a cheaper way of amassing a collection. Davy Boy, okay. What are your thoughts on non-movie toys from Star Wars, such as the Ewok Battle Wagon? It's not something I have any desire to own, certainly. Although in saying that, some of the mini rigs are my favorites, and those were not in the movies.
I agree with you, especially the droids A-wing. Obviously, that's I'd love to have one of those. It's a shame about the box because I think originally it was going to be released in the Power of the Force.
Yeah.
Because the images on the box are with some of the last 17 figures.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, as with releasing a total of 8 Ewoks, they were quite heavy on the Ewok playsets and vehicles as well. Not favorites of mine, that's for sure. Did you have any Battlestar Galactica or Black Hole figures? No, I did not.
Yeah, I've seen Black Hole because my dad showed me that as a kid. We were actually talking about it the other day because it's on Disney Plus. And I thought I'd probably rewatch it at some point. Yeah. But I've seen the Maximilian and the Vincent, isn't it? The little toys. They do look really cool.
Yeah. So this one is asking, so what figures are you needing to complete your run?
Got them written down. So I need Romba, Farm Boy Luke, Warwick, Lando General, Yak Face, and R2 Pop-Up. It's not many left.
Yeah, it's not many left. Now, here's the question for you. If you could go back and start from the beginning, how would you approach buying these figures if you had a chance to do it over again? Would you do anything differently?
Oh, definitely. So like with Leicester Vintage Toy Shop, for example, I remember going in there probably 5-6 years ago and seeing a Pop-Up R2 for around £75. I wished I'd, and I remember thinking that was expensive, or a Tri-Logo Boba Fett for £25. Well, they're about 200 now. If I could go back, I'd go buy those first, get the cheap ones after, but position I'm in now, so I've got to do it.
Yeah, I think what I did was back in 2019, I think I started out with a Farm Boy look that I bought because I wanted to do a video comparing it to the retro collection look.
Yeah.
And the 1995.
Oh, Power of the Force.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I got the opportunity to buy a complete set of the first 21 in a case.
That's
And
cool.
they were all in really good condition. And I thought, you know what, this is too good to pass up. So I bought that. My next purchase, I think I then bought a TIE fighter pilot and maybe another figure. But then I got the opportunity to buy the entire Return of the Jedi line in one package.
That's cool.
Which I did, and those were all fantastic condition. But then I thought, wait a minute, I've just denied myself the chance to hunt these figures down, because hunting them down is part of the fun.
You got it. The problem is with, so where the stage I'm at now, if I buy a bundle of figures, I'm going to get loads of figures I don't need. It's really, I'm really struggling at the moment to find these last ones.
Yeah. So then what I purposely did was, I did see a full line of Empire figures for sale. I said, no, I'm not buying that. I want to take my time to source each one individually and enjoy the moment, which I did. And then that got me on to last 17, some of which I already had, because technically there were two Ewoks that were released as part of the Jedi line, and I got those in that lot. And I also had an Imperial Dignitary. So I've been left looking to get last 17. And like I said, I have, I think, 3 or 4 on pre-order with Stan Solo. So that's just leaving me the 3 that I need. But he will be doing the Barada at some point. So that's the two Ewoks that are left. Once I get those, that's it. It's done.
So you're not there yourself. That's good.
Yeah. Although, looking back, if I could do it over again, I would probably try to do it figure by figure and just enjoy the experience a bit more. And also purchase figures that are less desirable when I get the chance, rather than keep putting them off, which we both have pretty much done, and we're left having to pay a very high price for figures that we don't necessarily love.
Got it.
I don't collect, but bought the Empire Strikes Back 50p collection and the Empire Strikes Back 50p with poster on it, and love them.
Yeah, so it's really cool. And I got just one of the coins. I got the Boba Fett coin with the 40 on it. It's really cool. It's actual legal currency as well.
Oh, nice. Mini rigs are amazing. Be great to have a Black Series update. Yeah, absolutely. Also, as well, for me, the PDT-8 mini rig was my first ever Star Wars vehicle, which it's not a particularly nice looking vehicle, but for me, the memories are all captured up inside that one little bit of plastic.
That's a rare one now. The PDT seems to be one of the more expensive ones.
Yeah. I want Astro to reissue the mini rigs in the retro collection. Yeah. You see, this is the thing. Hasbro has this retro collection line that they are sitting on an absolute gold mine if they would just use it properly. There are so many people, you know, my age, and of course your age, who want to get these things, and if Hasbro would just release them, they would sell out immediately. Yeah, Hasbro. I remember as a kid growing up in the 90s seeing Toys R Us filled with Star Wars stands for POTF2 and then Phantom Menace. It was amazing. Shame kids can't experience the same today. Yeah, that's very true.
I agree.
The whole experience of being a kid in general seems to have died a bit of a death. You don't see kids out playing anymore. I remember when I was back in Scotland 2 years ago, I'd go a lot of walks back to my old haunts, and I was appalled to see the parks completely empty, not a kid in sight. They still had all the swings and the chutes, but no one was using them. There was no one kicking a football. I guess it's just the iPad generation.
It is.
It's pretty sad. I used to see buckets of weapons in market stalls in the 90s for a few quid and used to ignore them. Yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, I still have a memory of 1985. In my town, we had a R.S. McCall newsagent, and they had Last 17 for 50 pence.
Wow.
Yeah. who would win in a game of Fortnite, Dean or Jack? I've never.
You've never played it?
Never played Fortnite.
I'd win then. Yeah, I play it.
However, Candy Crush, I could maybe win at that.
Yeah, I've never really played that, so you beat me at that.
Let me see if I can. I've been playing it since, probably 2014. Hopefully I can read this because it's tiny font here. Let me see. So I am on level 4,967.
Wow, that sounds high. I don't really know the game that well, but
yeah, but that's like 6 or 7 years worth of playing it.
Wow.
I got a Look Farm Boy you can have for free. Drop me an email with your address. Oh, awesome.
That's really kind. Yeah, no, I'll drop you a message after. Let me just.
If you can write this down.
Let me write this down.
Yep.
Mr. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's so generous. Fantastic. Have Stan Solo and SLC had a fallout? Well, that would be putting it mildly. Not for me to speculate, but no, they absolutely are not on good terms. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic, Jess. That's what's amazing about this. As I say that, there's Will, who has given me a lot of great things. It's amazing how kind people in this community are in helping each other out.
Exactly. It's nice.
It's fantastic.
What figure you got, Jack? Okay, so the first figure I got, that's really hard to remember, but I'm not sure on that one. Vintage-wise, it might have been something like a Bid Fortuna or an Attack Driver or something like that. If there's one thing you would say to Hasbro, Hal, what would you say? I'd say they need to focus on the vintage collection a lot more because they've released lots of Black Series, sometimes too many, and I think they should do more vintage collection because I enjoy collecting that more.
Yeah, I would also say to Hasbro, just improve distribution, make it easier for us to buy your figures.
Yeah.
This is the point I'm going to make in my video on Sunday. It's like, here's the money, take the money, but you don't want my money. You know, buying a product should not be this difficult.
No, it's like with The Mandalorian season 2. You think how long ago that was now?
Yeah.
We've still not got a lot of the characters in the Black Series or vintage collection. Like Boba Fett, still no new Boba Fett.
Yeah. Crazy. It's Tez. PDT-8 and ISP-6 is my next review coming soon. Awesome. Looking forward to that. Yeah, I just remember I could only have been probably 6 or 7 years old and on a trip to Newcastle and getting the PDT-8. And at the time, I only had Darth Vader and the Stormtrooper and Hoth battle gear. So those are the figures I played on my PDT-8 with. Awesome. Hey, Mr. Cutsy. No problem, just a spare. Oh, fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah.
Did Jack play any Sega Mega Drive or ZX Spectrum games?
I didn't, but I do like. I used to have a SNES when I was a kid. That was cool. I do like retro gaming. I do still play some of the older games, more like PlayStation 1 games or those sort of things.
I just caught myself calling it a ZX Spectrum. It was the ZX Spectrum, of course. Did you ever see those at all?
Was that the wooden? What was it? Wooden?
No, it was sort of dark grey plastic chassis with rubber keys.
Cool. Yeah, no, I've never seen one.
No, I didn't have one, but a friend of mine did. And of course, the games were on analog tapes. You had to load them up. Fantastic. I always remember playing a game called Jet Set Willy. I don't know if anyone else remembers that. It was quite fun. Loved the vid. Oh, thank you. Who wins Prime for Prime in a Saber duel only, Darth Maul or Count Dooku?
Darth Maul, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. My first figure was Darth Vader. Didn't even know what it was. That's quite possibly the same position I was in, because it would have been, I think, 1980. And obviously back then, we didn't even have VHS videos at that point in time. And obviously I wouldn't have gone to the theater at that age to have seen the movie, and it was never shown on TV at that point. So I probably had no idea what it was that I'd been given a figure. And again, I cannot remember what was first. It was either Darth Vader or the Snow Stormtrooper. So yeah, that was my first Star Wars figure, and I didn't know what it was, but I certainly enjoyed playing with it. Monty Mole. Not sure what that means. No, as we're getting to the end here, I'm just wondering about any other good questions for you. Yeah, okay. So what would you say is your holy grail item that you would love to own one day?
Something that I could actually own would be, I really want to get a Boba Fett vintage carded, probably the Blue Sky one.
Oh yeah.
I do like the Empire Strikes Back one as well, but that card back image is used quite a lot. So the Blue Sky, definitely. And it's more than achievable in the future, but it's one of the more expensive carded figures, and finding one without a yellow bubble is really difficult.
Yeah. And okay, and then the immediate future, what's on your shopping list for this year?
So this year it will be finish the 96. So I can pick up those last 6. The next vehicle I want to get is a twin plug cloud car. I want to get one of those. And another cloud car pilot. What else do I want? I really want the Star Destroyer at some point. I quite like that set. Yeah. Not everyone likes it, but I think it's pretty cool to have all the bands lined up on it.
I always remember seeing that as a kid and really admiring it, but never got one. But yeah, that's a really cool looking set.
It is. What about you? What's your grail? That's within reach.
Well, that's a funny thing. It's not actually toy related. It would be a rally team burner BMX with the white Skyway mag wheels. It was just the most beautiful looking BMX bike. I was lucky enough to have a Rally Super Tough 2 burner, which I thought was the most amazing BMX, until they released the Team Burner, which just looked so much better than mine. I have seen one guy on eBay who basically builds them to be exactly as they were back in the 80s.
Yeah.
So it's sorely tempting, but you can imagine the shipping from the UK to here would be just ridiculous.
Yeah,
my God, it'd be hundreds of dollars, if not closer to 1,000, I would imagine. But that's something that I've always wanted, and it's something that I think is probably the grail piece of mine.
Nice.
Oh, I see. Monty Mole was a Spectrum game. Okay. Get with you there, fellas, and make one good one and stop trying to resell the same one over and over. That's talking about Hasbro, where they keep repackaging the same figure.
They do, or just repainting it. It's
it is. And again, I did notice they did the release of, I think it was Ben Kenobi, Greedo, and a Jawa.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a true representation of the vintage Ken. It was like a mixture of half Black Series, half vintage. I think it looked ridiculous, but that's just...
Yeah, it's personal taste, isn't it? I've not picked any of those.
No.
I like the Greedo, but I don't like that they've took the vest off, because the original figure had the vest, you see. They took it off.
Right, yeah. I really want Imperial Shuttle. Only ship I'm missing. Wow, nice. I love my ZX Spectrum music. Don't tell anybody, but I have them on a loop on my Mac. Yeah, some of that classic video game music from the 80s, it's just so nostalgic. Greedo was mine. NES, Mario. Did I say more? Love Super Mario 3, probably my favorite as a kid. Wasn't a Saga child, liked Sonic, but was too quick to relax and look around. Yeah, I somehow managed to sort of miss out on the video game system sort of thing. I think it might have been my age, and also the fact that I was very much an outdoor kid. So if it wasn't raining, I was outside playing. So as a result, I never had any of these game systems. Jet Set Willy is a classic. I play it on my phone most days. Ah, okay. So maybe I need to look into downloading that then, because that was such a great game. Loved that. Oh, yep, that's exactly it. It was If I Was a Rich Man was the music for Jet Set Willy. Fantastic. Morning all, getting ready for work. My first figures were the Death Star droid and original Leia. Got them in 78. As you said, no VHS. So only film I watched was the holiday special. Yeah. In actual fact, my Star Wars experience is rather unusual, whereby I saw Star Wars on a rented VHS cassette. I then saw Return of the Jedi in the theater and didn't see Empire until it was broadcast on TV.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think I'm not unique in that. There are others who did not see the movies in the correct order simply because we didn't have access to them.
Exactly. It's these days it's so much easier it's just all available to you. So
yeah, and that's the other thing as well, that back in the day when either BBC or ITV would show a movie, it was a big event because you actually had to plan around it, because prior to VHS, if you didn't watch it live, you were never going to see it.
Yeah.
So, and it made it slightly more enjoyable, like a really big, spectacular event that the whole family would gather around to watch a movie on TV. And I still remember seeing Empire because, like I said, I didn't see the movies in sequence. So having seen Star Wars, to then go straight into Jedi, I'm thinking, why is Han Solo frozen? You know,
Exactly.
of course, it eventually made sense having seen Empire. Oh, hey, Anthony. Sorry I'm late. Had to help a friend. Okay, no problem. You can watch it on rerun. Amiga 500 Shadow of the Beast. I guess another video game. The Blue Snaggletooth. R2 Lightsaber PTOF is ridiculous in price. Carded it's up to 1,000. Yeah, all of these things are just, the prices are astronomical. What do you think of the Comlink and the chips in terms of accessories for the toys? I personally loved it as a kid when they came out. Yeah, did you actually play with that Comlink and chip?
I did. I had the actual Comlink and the chips. I had a metal chain. I had them all on it built up, and then I chain
cool.
It was cool to have it with the toys.
Nice. And we got, on each Star Wars toy, there was a proof of purchase. When you collected a certain amount, you would send it off for a free figure. I received Bosk about 6 times. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I remember the mailaways. It was a thrill to wait on that arriving in the mail. But looking back, we destroyed so many card backs by cutting those things off.
I know, because you see sealed card backs with just a hole in them.
Yeah.
The time.
Yeah. I finally saw Star Wars in '84 on a friend's recorded TV version. Then in '86 saw Empire and Jedi on TV. Yes, there you go. A lot of us saw them out of sequence. So Will in New Zealand says Easter. Oh, happy Easter, Will. Better get cracking. Been awesome to meet you, Jack. Hope Dean gets you back. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for watching, Will. And what's this? Will you be getting the Slave Leia figure?
There's one in the vintage collection that was released about 10 years ago, but
Right.
the price of it has gone really high because they're on about to not redo it. If they do one, then I'll get it.
Well, actually, Stan Solo is doing one.
Is it like a styled one?
Vintage style. In fact, he's used the head from the Leia Bush's guys figure to keep it consistent. He's doing one, and I also believe that in America, Smith Lord Creations are doing one.
That's good.
So, but 6 times though. I saw them. Well, 6. Yeah, it's a bit too many for Bosks to get. Those Bosks in the bag are gold now. Yeah, it's very true. So that's us hit the 2-hour mark. So I want to say to Jack, that's been so much fun talking to you. An absolute pleasure having you on. Now, everyone watching, so there's currently 45. If you haven't already subscribed to Jack's channel, please do so now. Just look for Jango Unbrained. Wonderful to have the next generation continuing to do something that us older guys have so much passion for. And it's good to know that the future of vintage Star Wars is indeed in safe hands. So thank you everyone for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it, and stay tuned.
Yeah, cheers guys for having me on.
Stay tuned for more videos from all things 80s. And like I said, subscribe to Jack, and we'll see you next time.